It's weird. I'm sitting in the park and it's very, very quiet this morning. There's barely anyone here. It feels like it's still asleep. And even though I normally love this, I love nature. I love when it's quiet. I love simple things. Like when I was young, we lived in the country, and whenever I'd go to sleep, I'd just turn off the lights in my room, and it was so dark because there was no other houses, no other lights nearby, that it would be complete darkness. Like no difference between closing my eyes and opening my eyes. It's just pitch black no matter what. And I've always found that very calming. Same thing with nature, same thing with quiet and stillness and just feeling the wind against my skin, like very simple things like that I've always found very calming and soothing, and it helps me kind of feel at peace, connected with the universe. And that's just the thing, like I don't feel that this morning, and I haven't felt that for a while. And the thing is, I haven't really felt that, or at least not for more than just a brief moment in the last 4 months. Ever since the breathing issues and the coughing returned, and then I had to do the radiotherapy, and that, made things worse. And then it slowly started getting better, but there was throwing up, and it's just like, I've mentioned this multiple times, but the last 4 months have been very intense. And I've just kind of been in this waiting mode of let's just wait till it ends. And now that it's finally starting to get to the point where, things aren't quite back to normal, but they're close enough to normal that I can sense, all right, I can start living again, start being myself again, if you will. Because it just felt like I took who I was and put that on pause, just dealing with all the crap that I had to deal with and just waiting for things to get better. And strangely enough, now that I'm at that point when things are almost back to normal and I should be feeling like myself again, I don't. And simple things like being in nature, it being super quiet, things that I normally enjoy that allow me to connect with the universe, that doesn't really work anymore. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just kind of like I've been in this funk for the last couple days, couple weeks. Like it's hard to keep track, but and it's not, like I was saying, it's not a bad thing. It's not like I feel bad. It's kind of like I feel not necessarily indifferent, just I guess kind of disconnected. But not in the sense that I feel lonely or anything like that, just in the sense that I don't really feel much. Which is kind of ironic because I started rewatching Dexter recently. And, his whole thing is he's a serial killer. He's a psychopath. Well, sociopath, definitely. And he has no emotions. Like, he's unable of feeling emotions. And obviously, I'm not a serial killer or anything like that. But I'm just like, I guess that's kind of how he feels. Obviously, to a much more extreme degree. And yes, it is fiction. It's not real. But it's just like, as I'm rewatching the show, I'm just like, well, that's interesting that I started rewatching the show, and I kind of feel that way. It's just, I don't know, funny coincidence. And that's the thing. It's like recently, for the last, I don't know, maybe week. Like, yeah, I filmed a couple videos, but I feel like there's nothing really to talk about. And I could just not record any videos for a while, and whenever something worthwhile, worth sharing happens, then I just make a video and share that. But this morning, because, I am in the park and everything's so quiet and still, and now I'm distracted by seeing a guy with his dog running randomly in the field. But anyway, what was I saying? That's just the thing. It's like everything has lost its significance. But it's not like a bad thing. It's not, I don't know, it's very difficult to describe, and that's kind of why I'm making this video, because normally, when I make a video, it's to share a story, to, there's a reason for me making the video, but today it's like the reason I'm making the video is because there is literally no reason to make this video. Like, there's nothing for me to talk about. And that's kind of the problem. Not really a problem, just because, you know, it's like, is the lack of problems a problem? Not really. It's something. I don't really know what it is, but it's not a bad thing. So I guess that's kind of what I'm going through. I've I'm so used at this point for the last 4 months to have like problem after problem after problem that now that I don't, I'm like, okay, what do I do with myself? What do I do with my time? And for some reason, I'm not able to go back to that space of just being content and completely at peace and just grateful and connected to the universe. That sensation that I had for a period of maybe 2, 3 months when I had like that shift in perspective. And that's the thing, it's like I sense that is still inside me, but I can tell for some reason I'm not quite ready to get back to that point. So I'm like in this weird transition phase of, okay, I'm no longer dealing with problem after problem after problem. Yes, I'm still coughing. Yes, I still have breathing issues, but that's slowly getting better. So it's not, an everyday issue. It's not really something that I have to worry about too much at this point. Yet I'm not back to normal to the point where I can go back to that version of myself where I'm just completely at peace and connected and have, no worries about anything or the future or anything. It's like I'm looking forward to being there, back there, of course, because that was an amazing state. And I know like that has become my default state. And it's just for the last 4 months, I've been kind of going through some, intense stuff and kind of waiting to be able to go back to that space. So I know it's coming. I'm not worried about that. It's just this weird transition phase between the two where it's just like things are bad, things aren't good, things just are. And I'm not used to that. I'm used to feeling. You know? I'm used to, yeah, okay, things are bad. Let's overcome this challenge. Let's fight. Let's struggle. Let's do this. Let's defeat this. Or it's like everything is great, everything is amazing, life is perfect, but this in between phase I don't really know how to deal with. And I feel like maybe for the first time in my life, I'm normal. And I know that sounds weird to say, but I've never considered myself normal. I've always been very different than others. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I've always considered being weird a good thing because honestly, I don't want to be like most people. I don't want to be part of the average. I find the average to be boring. Like, what's the point of living an average life? What's the point of, not challenging yourself? What's the point of just kind of coasting through life? That never made sense to me. So to me, whether it's extremely good, extremely bad, I like to live in the extremes because that allows you to truly experience life and experience whatever you're meant to experience. So to me, being normal is kind of like that in between phase. And it's not necessarily something I've avoided purposefully, it's just, it's not who I am. And now that I find myself in this space of, being normal, I'm just like, I don't know how to handle it. And it's like, I feel like this is what most people experience on a daily basis. This is basically their lives. And to me, it just feels so. Well, that's the thing. It doesn't feel like anything. It doesn't really feel like I'm striving for something. It's not really like I'm struggling to get away from something. I'm just, eh, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's kind of the problem in a way. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing really great about that. It's just, this weird in between phase that I just don't really know what to do with myself. So it's like I keep doing the same things. I go for walks, and yesterday I had a meeting with the physiotherapy team and start cancer rehab and everything. And it's like I go for walks in nature, and it's like I still enjoy it, but it doesn't give me this sense of fulfillment that it normally does. And it's a strange experience for me. So, anyway, I've been talking for 10 minutes and I feel like I haven't said anything, but that's kind of the perfect representation of what I'm going through. Like, it's just nothingness. I guess a good analogy for this would be like, I'm not in hell when I'm constantly struggling, trying to survive, trying to get out of hell. I'm not in heaven where everything is great and perfect and idyllic all the time. I'm just in purgatory, in this in between space where nothing really happens. And it's just this never ending nothingness. And I know it's only temporary, it's just strange for me to experience this because I've never experienced anything like this. And it's just, I don't know, it feels worth sharing, yet at the same time, because it isn't really a thing, it's kind of like the absence of something. It feels weird and kind of difficult to try to share this. So anyway, just wanted to kind of share that just because that's what I'm going through right now. So yeah, hopefully that kind of made sense. I don't know if you've ever gone through anything like that. I don't know if my perspective of, this is kind of what most people experience, as their life in general. Like maybe I'm wrong with that. Like that's just kind of my impression that I get from seeing other people and how they live their lives. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I guess that's just part of life, And that's the beauty of it in a way, like everything I'm going through, like, yeah, there's very difficult times. There's been some very good times. And then there's all this in between time where it's like neither good nor bad. It's just, well, it is what it is. Let's just wait for things to change. Alright, I think I'm done saying absolutely nothing, so I guess I'll talk to you, well, I don't want to say tomorrow because I feel like I don't really have much to talk about lately, so I don't know how often I'll make videos, but talk to you at some point in the future.